Good afternoon, my Real News Media TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for January 10, 2024. And in the news this afternoon, Chief Sleuth denies willfully withholding clandestine phone recordings. The lead investigator in the Tonya McDonald murder case yesterday denied that he had deliberately hidden information from the defense about the existence of a cellular phone which allegedly contained secretly recorded conversations between Everton Beach's Todd McDonald and the man whom he had allegedly hired to kill his wife. At the same time, the investigator disclosed that there is no record of the existence of the phone in any station diary or in any registry at the Major Investigations Division, which was the branch that had investigated the murder. The senior policeman, a detective sergeant, further admitted that he first made mention of the phone in a third statement, which he had submitted after the trial had started. McDonald and his co-defendant Oscar Barnes, the alleged hitman, are currently on trial in the Home Circuit Court in connection to the August 20, 2020 murder of the Portland businesswoman. Denverlyn Minot, the owner of the phone in question, a Samsung Galaxy A31, had testified that McDonald hired him to murder his wife for $3 million, but that he subcontracted the hit to Barnes. The prosecution witness who pleaded guilty to murder shortly after Tonya's killing is currently serving a 19-year sentence and will be eligible for parole after serving 10 years. Yesterday, when the trial resumed, defense lawyers grilled the investigating officer at length about the phone's existence and why there are no records of the phone's existence in any of the official police records except for his notebook, and why it had taken him 3 years to share the information with the defense. Under cross-examination for attorney-at-law John Jacobs, the witness, who at times appeared to be fumbling in his responses, said after collecting the phone, he turned it over to the storekeeper at MID, but later returned and took it to the Communication Forensic and the Cybercrimes Division, where he was given a receipt, which he said he did not have at the moment. But later, when pressed by defense attorney Christopher Townsend, he conceded that he was unsure of the receipt's whereabouts. This was after he indicated that the receipt was on the case file or at MID's office. The investigator, who had previously insisted that he had taken the phone to CFCD on August 4, 2020, admitted that he made an error and that the correct date was August 3 after looking at his statement. He was then questioned about a reference number he had written in his third statement about the phone. During the exchange, he agreed that he made no mention of the actual receipt number that he was given for the phone in the statement by CFCD. However, according to him, the number that he wrote was also a reference number used for exhibits in the case. At the same time, he told the court that the receipt number was a unique number assigned to the phone. Further, in Jacobs' cross-examination, the witness denied that a password was created for the phone after it was seized. Asked if he wasn't the one who had created the password, he said, "I never created a password for any phone, not even my own." Pressed further on whether the phone had been tampered with the creation of a password, he said he did not know. The witness maintained that Minot had used a thumbprint to open the phone when he took the phone to him while in custody. The witness was also asked the reason why there was no record of the phone or other potential exhibits, and explained that a decision was taken by the team not to have any records to preserve the integrity of the exhibits based on a risk assessment. He said the safety of the officers involved in the case and the control of the information were also factors. Jacobs then suggested that he made no record of the phone because it did not exist, but the witness disagreed. He was further asked why he never asked Minot about the phone in any of the 125 questions asked during the 4-hour-long question and answer session, but claimed he could not recall if that was the case. However, after being shown the document, confirmed that he never asked about the phone, although he had information. He later admitted too that he did not inquire about the SD card or the recording. But he admitted to Townsend that the phone was an important issue in the case. The detective was also asked whether the prosecution would have been derelict in its duty by not disclosing the information about the phone, and acknowledged that the prosecution had a duty to divulge the information. The officer at that point admitted that although the prosecution had that duty, he did not put the information in any of his first two statements or the Q&A or had any record in the storekeepers or exhibit registry. Also, he admitted that none of the MID officers mentioned the phone in their statements. But he answered that he was being deliberate by only recording the information about the phone in the notebook which he controlled. However, he indicated that he did not make a deliberate attempt to hide the information from the defense. In the same vein, he said that would not have been fair to the defense. Townsend later in his cross-examination called the lead investigator a liar after he first denied labeling the phone when it was handed over to him, but soon after admitted that he had in fact labeled the phone. However, Justice Chester Stamp reprimanded Townsend for accusing the witness of lying in such a strident and emphatic manner, and he quickly apologized. The trial will continue tomorrow with a new witness. Charles Jr. enlists MP's help to stem farm workers running off. Minister of Labour and Social Security Colonel Charles Jr. is enlisting the help of members of Parliament in curbing incidents of Jamaican farm workers absconding on the Canadian Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program. Data provided by the ministry has revealed that Jamaican farm workers accounted for 90.8% or 2,597 of participants in the Canadian SAWP who have run off between 2018 and 2022. Mexico followed Jamaica with 104 persons, while 63 farm workers who absconded during that period were from Trinidad and Tobago. Eastern Caribbean countries accounted for 66 farm workers and 5 were from Barbados. Annually, approximately 10,000 Jamaicans participate in the employment program that was established 58 years ago. It is our responsibility to make sure that as we recruit, as we guide, and as we orient, we ensure that it resonates that if you do abscond, you are going to impact your cousin, your friend, your brother, your sister, and others to come, Charles Jr. said. Charles Jr. reiterated that it was primarily younger and newer recruits who were running off when participating in the program, and noted that loopholes in the host country regulations often accommodate this type of action. He was speaking yesterday during a sensitization session on the Overseas Employment Program for MPs held at the Jamaica Conference Center in downtown Kingston. The majority of MPs were present or sent representatives in their stead. The minister outlined that farm workers abandoning the program upon arrival in the country has serious implications for Jamaica's continued participation, which he said can include host countries looking to alternatives for recruitment. He noted that during his recent tour of participating farms, this was the main concern shared by employers. The primary complaint that the employers had is concerns about the workers coming and then gone. And I'm talking about getting out of the plane and not even reaching the farm, talking about being on the farm for 1 week, 2 weeks, and then gone. The reality is that we have a lot of work to do, he said. A query from George Wright, independent MP for Westmoreland Central, about whether employers under the SAWP could confiscate the farm workers' passports upon arrival to prevent them from running off was quickly shut down by Charles Jr., who pointed out that this was against the law of all countries involved. The METR process, which is within the law, is what we are doing now, which is management through communication, raising awareness, and making the legal framework address the loopholes that allow somebody to go off, which then affects an employer, affects their colleagues, he said. Meanwhile, Julian Robinson, MP for St. Andrews Southeastern, raised concerns about the lack of communication with MPs when issues arise involving persons they recommended for the program. The ministry should communicate to us to indicate whether 2 or 3 of the people who were recommended went AWOL, or if there are particular issues with the people who we recommended. Then it's important that we know, so we talk to the family. We can talk to people in the community, he said. We're trying to bring them on to assist with a consistent analysis of the program, so that whenever there is an issue that's brought to our attention, not just the AWOL, but for instance, a worker injured or whatever it is, you don't see it in the news before you are contacted, Charles Jr. replied, sharing that his ministry has noted various incidents where the conduct of some of our farm workers has such a deleterious impact on how an employer thinks about our program and our participation. Charles Jr. said a discussion has commenced regarding a memorandum of understanding with the Heart NST Trust for employment readiness training for all workers upon pre-selection to the program. Going forward, he said, there will be continuous assessment of workers during the period of employment by liaison workers and the exit surveys that will be completed by the employer at the end of the contractual period. Following allegations of mistreatment amounting to slave-like working conditions, a finding team was commissioned in September 2022 to investigate the Canadian SAWP. Since then, the minister said a number of recommendations have been implemented, including the deployment of more liaison officers. The ministry, he said, will also institute a recognition and rewards program to publicly reward workers and the members of staff who have contributed to the development of the program.